The concept of moving from the darkness into the light, from the darkness of addiction to the light of recovery, it's such a really powerful analogy for people. It's something that people can really understand. My dogs have been instrumental in my recovery as well. When I was using, I was selfish, and I learned from Allie and Joey how to love somebody more than myself. And, I also made a promise. I said, I will always take the best care of you that I can. And I know that I wouldn't be able to take the best care of them or give them the life they deserve if I was being selfish and using. I'm the executive director at It TOGETHER Sioux Falls. So I'm part of this team of social entrepreneurs who are working to solve addiction in our community. We actually aren't an addiction treatment program. We're part of a continuum of care. That's how we look at solving addiction. So it's not just about you go to treatment for 30 days and you're better. We know that addiction's a chronic disease, so we would treat it just like any other chronic disease. A diabetic doesn't work with a doctor for 30 days and then they're better. They need long-term supports that they're going to be managing that disease throughout the course of their life. Sometimes recovery organizations tend to be just advocacy focused or just awareness focused, or maybe they just do telephone support or recovery coaching. We want to do all of those things in our community and offer all those supports for individuals. Traditionally, a lot of people thought recovery was just about getting sober. But what we know is that that's just the first phase. You need to be able to work on all the life stuff that happens underneath, because addiction's a disease of body, mind, and spirit. So you have to provide resources and options for people to work on every single aspect of their life. We're really different in our sustainability model than other recovery organizations you're going to find across the country. The typical model is that you write for state or federal grant funding, and that's something that very intentionally from the start our co-founders said we weren't going to do, because we know that's not a sustainable option. Through our employer initiative, many employers have chosen to make an investment in us, and really they're making an investment in their employees as well through that. Right now we're working with over 30 different employers across Sioux Falls, so we hit about a third of the workforce. We can demonstrate how that type of impact actually can save them a lot of money in the long term, but it's something that I think no one had really dug down and tried to say, how can we show a return on investment? How can we mitigate some of this damage? Addiction, when you are struggling with a disease, it's such an isolating disease. I think that's just something that naturally happens for a lot of people. You'd be really hard-pressed to find someone who didn't feel alone, who didn't feel different, and who didn't start to isolate. And then the problem is that that's compounded by the stigma that's associated with addiction. When I first made the decision that I needed to start changing my life, I didn't want to talk to people about it. I didn't want to get labeled as the recovery girl, which I find kind of funny now, because now sharing my story is such a part of who I am. So that concept of moving from that dark place of addiction and loneliness into this light place of recovery, it's almost like the sun rising.